This is Solo in the Shop, episode 26. This is going to be a shop update and an update on what's going on with the business. Let's dive in. Whether you are a hobbyist, weekend warrior, making commissions for friends and family, or already a full-time maker, if you are solo in your shop, this is the show for you. I'm Ronald Lowe's, the host of Solo in the Shop, a woodworking podcast discussing everything from current projects, tools and techniques, decisions around running a small business, and much more. So if you frequently find yourself alone and covered in sawdust, follow my journey and we can be solo in the shop together. Welcome, friends. It's hard to believe, but this is 6 months of weekly podcasts without missing a week. Usually consistency is a weakness of mine, so it's been kind of interesting just from my own perspective to get into the habit of being ready to have something out every Wednesday and to keep thinking about what I want to share, what's going on, new things that I've learned, things about the business. So if you've been here from the beginning, I appreciate you, and I will endeavor to keep making content and keep sharing my experience. I'd love to hear from listeners. Send me a line, send me an email to solointheshop@gmail.com. Let me know that you're listening. The shop is hopping. I've got 2 book match tables that I'm working on right now. One is a dining table, 48 inches wide, and the other is a coffee table. And the margin on those, based on how I sold them, was pretty tight. So I was not taking the raw lumber to my guy that's got the wood miser and getting it flattened. Instead, I set up the router sled and just kind of went to town. And that makes such a huge mess. Now, I definitely saved money. I definitely saved time. I got both tables flattened, which was 4 different pieces of wood. All of that got flattened front and back in a day and a half. And that's definitely faster than my normal turnaround time when I drop something off. And just cost time and a little bit of electricity to make that happen. I also got the advantage of being able to take pictures and video of the rough lumber and then the finished thing coming out of the router sled. And that's always a satisfying before and after. That took up the last couple days. And then today I spent with the snow shovel and a large landscaping barrel scooping up just literally like snowdrifts of sawdust out of the garage that had been thrown out by the router sled, and distributed that sawdust around the weedy parts of the jungle of my yard around the shop. I find that works pretty well. The sawdust kind of spreads out and disappears, and it also helps control weeds. So it's all natural, and I think it's better than, putting it in a landfill or trying to burn it. So it's working for me. I have a live edge desk that's coming up. I've taken a deposit on that one. I need to go find the wood for it and may end up turning into another router sled situation. Although it's probably narrow enough, I might be able to get away with putting it through the big planer at my makerspace. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. The other thing that I really am enjoying is that all these projects are coming in with different legs than I normally do. I went through a period where I was making lots of dining tables, lots of live edge dining tables with the same trapezoid, U-shaped, steel, tubular legs. And I love those legs. My vendor that makes those in Ohio, just love how responsive they are. The quality is top notch. I have no complaints, but it gets a little mundane making the same table with the same legs over and over. And all the legs that I've been getting orders for lately have been different. Each table just all over the map what kind of legs they're looking for. So I'm looking forward to getting pictures of some finished products with legs other than the normal trapezoids. So I've got those 3 projects going on, and I still have several hot prospects for business that I expect to close over the next 2 weeks. Mostly dining tables, mostly live edge, different legs again, but a lot of interest, and it really still stems from the Facebook Marketplace ads. I say ads, the Facebook Marketplace listings that I have. I differentiate, even though the listing really is an ad for what I make, they're free. I'm not paying for advertising. It is just getting eyeballs that are in the local market, and people are responding to it. They understand that what I'm listing is furniture to be built to their specifications, and they are ready for a conversation and then a quote and then a deposit, and we get going. So it's been really eye-opening how much business I can get out of Facebook Marketplace. I also have a new opportunity. I don't know how I would rate this. I would say this is in the 40% likely to happen. Maybe over the next week it could grow. But I have the opportunity to outfit a social club with 6 new river tables. And that would be huge for me. I would love to be able to make all those and feature them and get good pictures. But it's also something where it gets me thinking about table finishes and commercial tables and polyurethane and things like that, where it needs to be more durable than my usual Rubio monocoat and ceramic finish. I also know that, in any commercial setting, there's a chance that someone's going to put something hot on it. And so I'm thinking about doing an experiment. I know what the products say they can handle for heat. Some don't tolerate heat at all. Some say that they don't discolor, that it's fine once it's cured. You're good to put something hot on it. So I actually want to do a test and get some pieces of black walnut and apply different finishes and then put a hot plate and then a hot pan and see at what point do these finishes fail and what happens. And then maybe a follow-up experiment later to say, okay, somebody has ruined a finish with heat. How hard is it to refinish it and repair, get it back to usable state? And I think being able to have evidence for each of those finishes and to be able to speak with some authority about what should be used for commercial tables will be added value. So that's an experiment. I think that's probably going to happen in the next week or so. I've got a lot going on, but I'm also going to be pouring a lot of epoxy that's going to need 4, 5, 6 days to cure before I'm happy to sand on it. So in that intervening period would be an ideal time to do such an experiment. There's also a lot of stuff going on with my website. I've noticed in the last few days a huge uptick in website traffic. If you've listened to earlier podcasts, I've got a dashboard that I have in my shop that shows me web traffic and certain pages and how many people are hitting those pages. And, my numbers are always modest. I'm still a small solopreneur, but I would say spikes in traffic over the last few days. And it doesn't seem to be a high enough spike in traffic that it's malicious. It's not a denial of service attack or anything like that where I would see potentially millions of hits. It's just hundreds more than I'm used to seeing. Nice. Hasn't turned into sales. I don't know where the traffic's coming from. I've been trying to look at my access logs and see if there's some commonality in IP address or refer or things like that. And there just isn't. And it's not all day, just a barrage. It's a few here, a few there, and it's just a few more every few minutes than I usually get. So that's a nice thing. I'm not sure that I understand what's going on yet. I did because of that spike in traffic, take the opportunity to build a page that shows me a graph of daily website traffic. This is probably a pretty standard thing with a hosting service, but since I write all of my own stuff, I needed to come up with a tool to do that. So I wrote that the other day, and that got me thinking about kind of my overall contact and sales and order management system, and realized that I had implemented that in the computer programming world, they call it security by obscurity, which means if you don't know the address, then you're not going to find it. But that was the only level of security. So I started realizing I've got more and more in this area on my website that I really don't want people and hackers getting into. So I've implemented, a login and security checks and things like that to try and keep the bad guys out. Maybe it's not as sophisticated as it could be, but it's way better than what it was. So now I've got a whole secure area on the webpage or on the website that houses a lot of those systems. Speaking of the website, my friend Lincoln, who is a product designer for websites and a perfectionist, has been looking over my site and sending me drawings, renderings, and nitpick lists of things that I should change. And maybe the improvements that he's been suggesting that I've been implementing kind of over time are part of the reason why web traffic is increasing. It could be. I definitely like my own website better now than I did a month ago, thanks to him. I've also completed the Google business profile. I thought I had done that a while ago through the Google Maps when I set up my business, but I ended up on some link in Google that said, oh, you're only 60% complete in your business profile. So I went and I looked, and there was a bunch of other questions that they wanted me to answer about the business and about me and about the location and what I was doing. So completing those steps also kind of coincides with the increase in traffic. So I don't know if Google sees me as being more legitimate and maybe I'm getting just more traffic from Google. But either way, I'm happy to have the traffic. I wish I understood better exactly where it's coming from. So that's what's going on in the business. I am going on vacation. I'm not going to be skipping any weeks for this podcast, but Ann and I have the opportunity to get away. We're going to go over to New York to a very nice hotel that we've wanted to stay at for a few years now, and I will report back on how that experience is. I have no doubt that it's going to be spectacular, and it'll be such a nice break at the end of summer before school starts up again to get away, relax, and have some adult time together. That's what's going on. I hope you guys are having an amazing summer. I hope things are going great, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, feel free to reach out to me at SoloInTheShop@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you got value from it and would like to help the show grow, I'd appreciate a review wherever you listen. Be sure to check the show notes for links to my socials or any extra stuff we discussed today. Until next time, stay safe in your shop, and we'll talk again soon.